A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. This is Tariq Amin, lecturer, Department of English, Cohort, University of Science and Technology, Cohort. Warm welcome to the course of study skills. This is video number 2 of the lecture number 19. Our today's topic is changing parts of speech. Lecture outlines of today's class include changing parts of speech, changes to make verbs, changes to make adjectives, changes to make adverbs, changes to make verbs. Before going to change words into verbs, use any of the following prefixes or suffixes. We can use the following prefixes or suffixes in order to change words into verbs. Let's discuss these examples. En is actually a prefix. Prefix is a word, or it is a morpheme that is added to the beginning of a word. So courage is a verb, is actually a word, and when we add the prefix en to it, it becomes encourage, and it is actually a verb. It becomes a verb. Encourage is a verb. For example, let me use it in a sentence. We say that you need to encourage him. So in this example, to encourage is a verb. Or I encouraged him. I encouraged him. So encourage is a verb. It becomes a verb. And let's come to another example. Power is a word, and when we power is actually a noun, and when we add this prefix em to it, it becomes a verb, empowered. So empower is actually a verb. The another example is re. New is a word. When we add re is actually a prefix. When we add this prefix to the word new, it becomes renew. Renew. And renew is a verb. And present is a word. And when we add im to it, when we add this prefix to it, it becomes imprison. And imprison is a verb. It becomes a verb. So this is how we can add different prefixes to words in order to make them verbs. Let's come to suffix. Suffix is a morpheme that is added to the end of a verb, that is attached to the end of a verb. Let's discuss suffixes. En, deep, is a word. When we add this suffix en to the end of the word deep, it becomes deepen, and deepen is actually a verb. Another example is stabilize. Stable, the actual word is stable, but when we add ize, when we add this suffix to the end of stable, it becomes stabilize, and stabilize is a verb. It becomes a verb. Another example is celebrate. When we add this ate to the word, it becomes celebrate, and celebrate is a verb. Another example is terrify. Ify is a verb, so it becomes terrify, and terrify is actually a verb. This is how we change different words into verbs by the addition of prefixes and suffixes. We can make verbs from different words by adding prefixes and suffixes. Now, how to make adjectives? To change different words into adjectives, use any of the following suffixes. We can also use suffix in order to change words into adjectives. We can change different words into adjective by the addition of different suffixes. Let's discuss some of the suffixes. Now, over here, al is a suffix. Direction is a word. When we add a, l, or l to it, it becomes directional, and directional is an adjective. It becomes an adjective. Same is the case with sensible. Sense is a word. When we add ible to it, able to it, it becomes sensible. So sensible is an adjective. It becomes an adjective. And laugh is the actual word, and when we add able to it, it becomes laughable, and laughable is an adjective. It becomes an adjective. Officious. Over here, office and official, when we add ous, ous is a suffix. When we add it to office, it becomes official, and official is an adjective. And price, this is a very common word. This is known word to all of us. Price is a word, and when we add this suffix, less is also a suffix that is common to us, and all of us know this, and we have seen this suffix in different words. We use it in different words, and we see it in different words. Less is a suffix, and when we add this suffix to the end of the word price, it becomes priceless, and priceless is an adjective. Okay, style is another word. Style is another word. When we add this suffix to style, it becomes stylish. We say that he is a stylish boy, he is a stylish boy, she is a stylish girl. So stylish is an adjective. It becomes an adjective. So this is how we change different words into adjective by the addition of suffixes. There are some other suffixes as well. Like temper is an actual word. When we add ate to the end of this word, it becomes temperate, and it is an adjective. Same is the case over here in this example. When we add this id to the word, it becomes humid. And alpine and helpful. Full is once again a suffix that is common to us, and this is the very common suffix, and we add it to the different to the end of different words in order to make them adjectives, etc. And child is a word. When we add this suffix to it, it becomes childlike, and childlike is an adjective. Like, for example, we say that this is a childlike behavior. And pole is a word. When we add ar to it, it becomes polar, and it becomes an adjective. From pole to polar, it becomes an adjective. Now we can also change different words into adverbs. Like to make adverb forms, put the suffix ly at the end of the given word. We can add ly to the end of different words in order to make adverb forms. For example, suffix ly and suffix ly. Suffix ly, and this is also suffix ly. Loud is a word. For example, loud voice. And loud voice, loud is an adjective because it is modifying the verb voice. In the previous video number 1 of this lecture number 19, we discussed that an adjective is a word that is used to modify or qualify a noun. When we say that loud voice, in this example, voice is a noun, whereas loud is an adjective, and the adjective loud is modifying the noun voice. But over here in this example, when we add ly to this adjective loud, it becomes loudly, and loudly is basically an adjective. In the same way, accurate is a word. When we add ly to the end of this word, it becomes accurately, and it becomes an adjective. Sorry, it becomes adverb. This is not adjective form, it is adverb form. Not adjective but adverb form. Okay, examples of interchange of parts of speech. Okay, these are different words. Achieve is a word, manage is a word, standard is another word, sympathy and fertile are other words. And we can change these words into different grammatical categories such as noun, verbs, adjectives, etc. Let me discuss it. The very first word is achieve. And when we add this, achieve is actually a verb. We say that I achieved this. You need to achieve it. Achieve is actually a verb. When we add the suffix meant to it, it becomes achievement and it becomes noun. It becomes a noun. Achievement is a noun when we add meant to it. And we can also add er to it or r to it in order to make it noun. So achiever is another noun, achievement is one noun, achiever is another noun, and we can also change it to another verb such as achieving. Achieving is also an adjective. An adjective and verb. And another example is achievable. Achievable is an adjective. When we add able to it, it becomes achievable, and achievable is an adjective. It becomes an adjective by the addition of able, by the addition of the suffix able. Another example is manage. When we add ment to it, ment to the end of this word manage, it becomes management, and it becomes a noun. And in the same way, when we add er to it or r to it, it becomes manager, and manager is once again a noun. And we can also change it into a verb, that is managing, or an adjective, that is manage. For example, when we say that managing director or managing, so we can also change it. And manageable, when we add the suffix able to it, it becomes manageable, and manageable is an adjective. Okay, standard is a word when we add ize to the end of this word. Ize is actually a suffix, and when we add it to the end of the word standard, it becomes standardized, and standardize is a verb. Another example is sympathy, and when we add ize to it, it becomes sympathize, and sympathize is a verb. Sympathizer is a noun. When we add er to it, it becomes sympathizer, and sympathizer is a noun. And sympathizing is another word when we add ing to it. Fertile is another example. When we add ize to it, it becomes fertilize, and fertilize is a verb. And when we add r to it, it becomes fertilizer, and fertilizer is a noun. Fertilizing is another verb, and fertilizable is another word. So these are some of the examples of interchange of different parts of speech. We can see that we have changed the same words into different grammatical categories. Achieve is a word, but it can become a noun, it can become an adjective, and it can become another sort of verb. Same is the case with the manage, standard, and sympathy and fertile. Sympathy can become sympathize, it can become sympathizer, sympathizing, by the addition of the different suffixes. And when we add suffixes to the end of these words, sometimes they change their grammatical category. Most of the time they change their grammatical category. Now, changes to make adverbs. Okay, in the previous slides, we discussed some of the examples of interchange of parts of speech. These are some other examples of interchange of parts of speech. For example, the first example that we are going to discuss in this slide is acid. And when we add the suffix ic to it, it becomes acidic, and it becomes an adjective. Another example is restore. Restore is actually a verb. When we add ation to it or atio into it, it becomes restoration, and restoration is actually a noun. We can also make adjective from it by the addition of ive. When we add ive to the end of this word, it becomes restorative, and it becomes an adjective. It is actually an adjective. Mediate is another word. When we add tio into it, it becomes mediation, and mediation is a noun. And it can also be made mediative, it can also be made adjective, an adjective. By the addition of the suffix ive, it becomes mediative, and it is an adjective. Cooperate is another word. Cooperation is a noun. It becomes a noun when we add ation to it, shun to it, it becomes cooperation, and it becomes a noun. And cooperative is another example. It becomes an adjective when we add the suffix ive to it. Strategy is another example. It becomes strategic when we add ic to it. It becomes strategic, and strategic is an adjective. These were some of the examples of interchange of parts of speech. We have lots of examples of interchange of parts of speech. We can change a verb into noun, a noun into verb, a noun into adjective, and a verb into adjective, or adjective into a noun, etc. We can change the grammatical category of a word by the addition of prefixes and suffixes. These are the references. Thank you for listening to the video. Allah Hafiz.